being a comedian as a business. This is my business, it's where I earn, it's my corporate, you know what I mean? So it's where I earn my money. And in any business, there's got to be a marketing element, there's got to be a sales element. And because I understand it as such, I'm not as sensitive, but I'm saying there are a lot of comedians who do not want their stuff going viral. And because we attend so many shows and run so many shows as well, there's always an awkward balance of what you want going on.
Where is the industry in terms of getting to grips with copyright?
The people who talk about it the most, unfortunately, are comedians. You know, they'll say, well, this guy stole this or that guy stole. We're the most precious about it.
Exactly.
You know, it's like we're talking about comedians who go on stage to impress comedians, especially guys who start out. They all come along and say, I've got 5 minutes of new material. And I say, have you learned how to do the old 5 minutes yet?
Yeah. Let's talk about race, because in this country, and it was
I'm very slow. I've been training for many years now, and I just, 400-meter discipline.
Doesn't have the leg muscles, just does not
That's
have
what
muscles
it is.
in
I can't
his
do
legs.
the thing.
on the one hand, you've got non-racial democracy, which is true constitutionally. On the other hand, these categories remain. You guys have the license to explore this.
My material is a lot of white, black, but it's not about white, black. It's about white, black and understanding in a society, not in a political way. Not in a sense that, I hate potholes like white people. No, it's not in that sense. The sense of if you have a neighbor, if I am dirty or I am sloppy or I don't take care of my yard, it's got nothing to do with me being black or white. If I,
you're an entire person.
You're an entire person. Sometimes I think we, as South Africans, we're very touchy.
What frustrates me is that people expect that in 20 years miracles were supposed to happen and everybody was just supposed to forget about that there was segregation. It takes generations and generations and generations. I mean, I do a bit about how we are so sensitive, even after 20 years, like we are so sensitive that sometimes, even if somebody's not really being racist, you'll ask your friend, was that racist what Dusty did?
South Africans tend to take themselves really seriously. So a good comedian, you will suspend that for the duration of his set because you don't mind the abuse, you don't mind them saying whatever they want to say. There are some unwritten rules in comedy, especially in South Africa. Black people can say certain things on stage that white people can't say.
You can't do anything on stage that you personally are not comfortable doing on stage. If he's uncomfortable doing a bit on polygamy, the audience is going to pick it up and it's not going to do well. Dogs can smell fear, so can audiences.
And I talk about stuff that I've never been married, but I know I can talk about white suburban housewives because I know the mentality. You know what I mean? Obviously, I've never lived there. But I know the stuff that they complain about the massages and the manicures, and it might not come from, that's not my lifestyle, but when I comment about it, I might make sure that...
So you have to know enough. You have to know enough.
Know enough to make a joke, because otherwise, where did you get the joke?
I want to always get to the point where people leave the show, black people leave the show. Is that dude what?
I once performed with him at the Shisanyam. He got a standing ovation more than us black people because everyone was like, where did you get that white guy? And he did a dance at the end of the set. Oh, that
What
was
type
cool.
of dance?
What culture?
Tsipa.
You can do the tipper.
Oh, I can do a tipper. I can bend this fork tipper.
I'll pay you to do the tipper right now. Tipper, tipper, tipper.
Small bum shame. Oh, shame. There's like a tipper light, man. It's a tipper light. It's a low budget tipper that. No, man. It's a no-name brand tipper. It's a blue and white label, that one. No-name brand.
There's the connotations about corporates that comedians don't like them. I actually like them because of how I do comedy. I do honest comedy. So I go to the corporate and I go, hey, you in the suit. You've probably got a hairy chest and a tattoo or your mom's name. You know what I mean? I know it. I know it.
I don't care what stage I'm walking onto. David Kibuka said something to me so wonderful, I think, which helped me. He said, if you are going to perform, just remember that the reason you love doing stand-up comedy is because you love making people laugh. Whether it's the cashier at Checkers, you make her laugh. Whether it's the teller at the bank, whether it's the petrol attendant, you love making people laugh. So before you walk on stage, it doesn't matter what the platform is, go out there and make them laugh.
Let's talk about how you've extended your work to becoming an actress.
Before you say anything, can I just say that it is not fair the way this woman is talented. Like, you know, they say that God blesses us all equally. Lies.
Lies.
No, Celeste was very greedy when it came to talent. Because next thing she's singing. Then you're like, oh, but Celeste, you can't be funny and be able to hold a tune.
Actually sing.
Then the
Celeste,
next
I
thing
keep
she's
hearing
acting
this.
like a boss.
I did a song at Comics Choice.
But can you
God,
actually
John.
sing?
My dad's dad had a band. And it's like a Statamea, Ladies Make My Bazo, and they used to sing it, and they used to go to competitions and go to all sorts of weddings, and they used to sing the song. Eventually, my dad went to Standard 6, which was like secondary school, and then they realized that my grandfather was singing up the song. The whole time.
Oh, the lyrics.
Oh yes, the lyrics. You know, as black people we could sing, and we sing rubbish. It's fine as long as it goes with the rhythm. Intengan, intencool, intepagats and time and bafan. You realize later that oh my God, it's time after time. My grandfather used to mess up the song as well, but this is how they used to sing it. You know, swing low, sweet cherry, oh. Swing lon, swing lon, swing shellon, swing shellon. Coming for to carry me ho, me ho. Swing lon na, swing lon, sing shellon, sing shellon. And I like the part, I look over Jordan. They did not. I look for Chochwana for me. And it was no. Black people, when they sing, they must give you the performance. Otherwise, it's useless.
Years ago, when we used to have a comedy show band, we used to do covers, we used to do musical comedy, and we used to do dress. Oh no, I can tell you stories about that. But exactly the same thing used to happen. Used to get an Afrikaans guy come up and say, no, from Belleville, springs to mind, and he'd say, "Can you explain? It's so funny." And you go, and you're thinking, no, do I know this? No, I'm not sure I know that. No, man, it's so funny. So, well, how does it go? And they go, it's so funny how we don't talk anymore. So it happened years ago as well, you know. It's so funny.
It was only this one part. That's what he knows.
That's only knows the first line. Yeah. Or can you explain Hasi? Hasi, a bad news, right? So.
When we start to tell our stories, rather I get the jokes about South Africa, unless I understand and you know where you come from. Like Jimmy Carr was here and he spoke about South Africa and he spoke about issues about South Africa. But there are certain levels where if you want to dig down to a story, at least give it to the people that can not mess it up. Because if there are people if I can't be coming to, I went into the Wednesday, mainly colored audience. What I can talk about is what I know about colored people, but I cannot claim to know.
I think the point is when we get Americans coming here, it's not about their culture, it's more about general stuff that kind of goes right across. Yeah. We're still locked quite a lot into our culture and our differences here in South Africa. But when we've had internationals at the club, they are able to take that same set anywhere in the world.
Yeah. What I notice is in terms of the American influence, what happens is you get a guy coming to do comedy for the first time. So he's been watching tons of American comedy. He hasn't visited comedy clubs, but would love to be a comedian. So he doesn't understand what the kind of landscape is of the South African comedy scene. He doesn't know what type of material we're doing. And you get a guy, books open spot, comes on and walks on stage and imitates an American comedian in terms of his mannerisms. And then what happens, I see that washing out very quickly as soon as the guys get part of the circuit. A lot of them don't even make it through because as South African, we normally just switch off immediately.
The few people that make it international, even in music, everywhere else, are the people who are themselves. In South Africa, everyone has been trying to be hip-hop, but only Ladies Make Them Buzz can get the Grammys because why? They are Ladies Make Them Buzz. No matter who comes where, they will give you what they know. And you can't do better than what you know. When you're going to talk about what you know, because when we get along, you will agree with me, when there's a group of women, it does not take even 5 minutes.
Before we start talking about men.
We start talking about men.
Yeah.
And for us, because women can achieve everything but men. Because there's one thing that we can't control, and we need to control. So eventually that is subconsciously back on our minds that we're going to have to talk about that issue.
How do the men react to you? Because you're unusual in the stand-up comic thing. So the men are not used to having a woman going for them.
Now, this is another thing that I'm facing in Joburg because the part that I'm playing a woman in a polygamous relationship in my character. And a rural one, and a very conventional one, and a very Zulu woman, an old woman, like, you know, one of those primitive makumalo.
The first lady.
The first lady kind of, yes.
Lady.
In a rural setting. So most men fall in love with that, and they come to my shows thinking that's what they're going to get. Because from the show, I get most black men going, oh, if you can teach otherwise, how polygamy would be such a lovely thing. There's nothing wrong with it. The way you portray it, you must tell other women. So you see, I know that's what they want. But as soon as I get on stage, they're like, whoa, wait a minute,
she got the wrong
this
brief.
one? You know? And eventually after the show, I get the, wow, you're not the same.
I feel like during sex you could break it. You could be like, if you didn't like that guy, you could have been like, oh, you like it? Yeah, have a good night. You walk outside with his...
Obviously, I understand that we have to teach, because, see, this is the problem. Naturally, white people are romantic, and they're romantic nicely with flowers and chocolates and wine, and it coordinates, it goes well together. Well, with us, we don't understand. You must be like, I bought groceries, what do you want now? Women, we don't understand flowers. You find women walking around on Valentine's Day, walking with roses like this. Because we don't even know how much is a bunch of flowers. And as soon as we find out, like, damn, you should have bought me airtime, my book.
What advice would you give to new comedians, male or female? For me, the advice is very, very simple. Write your own stuff, number one. Number two, write stuff that you find funny. So things that make you laugh, especially in the beginning. Write stuff that you find funny, because if you find funny, the authenticity comes naturally. Commit and have fun.
And then do it 1,000 times,
a million times,
again
yes.
and again
Yes.
and again.
Yes.
So you, as a woman or a female comedian, gets away with more than, say, another, is that you have credibility. You walk out there, you say it with absolute conviction. People don't sit and question what you're saying and try and work out, should a woman be saying that? You know what you're going to say, and you're not afraid to say it. So the minute you're comfortable, they're comfortable.
Valentine's Day, a black guy, typical black guy, this is what they buy for. Now it's going to be a red light special night. Yogurt. Chocolates, because they buy all sorts of nice things on top of the KFC. So there must be this other.
The bucket is there.
The bucket of KFC we are sorted. Standard. So now we can move to nicer things that we are not usually, chowing. If you want yogurt for yourself, put mass and put esto and sugar, and there you go. That's your yogurt. Now, if a brother is buying you yogurt, that means you'll be there the next morning to eat the yogurt. So that means you're not going anywhere. So even the sister, the tailor, the guy, the girl, or the woman at the till point is also looking at these groceries and can tell. Because at the end, there's a condom coming. So it's like, do it.
Yogurt.
Do it. So it's either the sister in the till is going to be watching to another sister on some, do I know her, or is she trying someone else's man? Because that could be a problem as well. You might not move out of this shop if they find out that Vusi, apparently. Vusi must be yours. If you're not sure about Vusi, don't be at the till line. Just find yourself around. So, be busy. So that the sister in the till point will not tell who Vusi is going with, They were just watching. So now the guys, mentality of black guys, once they pay, and it's a subconscious thing. I'm not saying, I'm bashing on black guys. It's a subconscious thing because there's a concept of lobola. Black guys understand that once you pay, you get. It's as simple as that. I've bought yogurt and groceries. What do you want? Condom must be news. So that's why you find yourself one with the headboard. Because now they're making sure that you must come out of this place. You know the headboard very well. They got the value for the yogurt. There's this kind of sex, like, okay, we are having sex. Then there's this sex where it changes, and that's a lobola, that's a transition sex, and then you're like, they are having sex with me. Me, I'm just the one with the headboard. I don't know what's going on. Brother, to your sex. The sound of the headboard is you going, oh my God.
The day I believe that any South African can call himself a comedian is when Joe Parker phones and asks you for your banking details. That is the day. That is the day that you are a comedian. So to comedians out there, if Parker has not paid you, if Joe does not have your banking details, you are still a call center agent that does comedy on their side. You are not yet a comedian. I've got bad news for you. You are not yet a comedian. If Joe Parker does not have your banking details, I'm very sorry. Jason Goliath on everything. So Jason Goliath on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you can check us out on Gig Guides on goliathandgoliath.com.
Still doing comedy as usual. Packers, The Box, everywhere around, but I'm doing my one-woman show in Joburg for the first time.
We're always performing everywhere all the time. You go to @DustyRich on Twitter, right? You can also go to dustyrich.com.
We're running comedy here at Gold Reef City Park. It's Gold Reef City Fridays and Saturdays. We have a comedy hypnotist here on a Wednesday, and we're carrying on at Monte Casino
What's a
as
comedy
well.
hypnotist?
Well, a hypnotist is actually a comedy
Look at her
show.
face.
Is it true that people in the South are easier hypnotized than people in the
I
North?
think they are hypnotized permanently. Hey!